Summoner's War. Only I summoned divine beasts. Chapter 12:22. Space and time. I don't think you should give that kind of suggestion, Killen. May narrowed her eyes. That's just a suggestion. I believe our summoner is not so foolish that he will kill himself just to seek out the truth. After all, just like the old saying, curiosity kills the cat. Nathan smiled wryly. Don't worry. I won't risk myself to acquire the truth that I can get in another way, unless I'm being forced to. Master. May gritted her teeth and glared at him. Ha. Nathan looked away. Anyway, I should seal the space element now. Nathan rushed to the device to use the remaining Ina to seal his elements. Once it was sealed, Nathan could realize something had changed with his power. Nathan looked at his own body. He could faintly sense the two elements. Because it didn't have a core, the elements were blending together. As a result, the two elements flowed like two waters with different temperatures. They were gradually fusing to create a new type of energy that contained both elements. I think I can use both elements right now. I don't have a lot of knowledge about the space element, but Nathan paused for a moment and activated his time seal. Normally, the time seal would stop anything around it. He usually just shot the time seal and gathered his attack there. However, thanks to the influence of the space element, Nathan could actually create an official space for the time seal. He first created a box. In this box, the power would be frozen. This is not a time seal anymore. It's more like a time box, the 3D version of the time seal. This might be the main concept for my new space bracelet. I know the pattern of Evelyn's space element, but with this time seal, the patterns become even more complicated. However, if I use this new pattern to create a new magic circle, the space bracelet will be able to stop time. Nothing will rot there. It will truly become the ultimate storage, like the ones in novels. If I turn off the container for the space element, the space will dominate and the time element will be weakened. In other words, I can create a box or a domain that slows down time instead of stopping it. If you do it in reverse, I can create something like a time prison which freezes an object or a person. This is interesting, Nathan muttered. Nathan finally understood the concept of Kuhn and Peng. It was truly similar. When Kuhn was in control, the water element was dominant, which created a mist. When Peng dominated, instead of a mist, it would turn into pressurized water. I see my arsenal will increase significantly from this. If we add fragments of summoning as well as our old fighting style, Nathan could imagine the unlimited possibilities. The more he wielded this power, the more abilities that would appear. Nathan was excited, but at the same time he feared himself. I might end up drowning in my own power at this rate. You don't have to worry about that. There is a balance in everything. I just have to make sure you focus on that balance. Killen assured Nathan, I'm talking about the power controlling me, and I might do things I shouldn't do. What makes you think I'm not talking about that? Killen frowned. Nathan froze. Killen was determined to beat him if he was truly lost to his own power. In fact, he wouldn't be the only one. Nathan was sure Fenrir and the others would slap him if he ever reached that point. I will leave it to you guys then. Still, don't you think you should tell your teacher and probably Evelyn about this? You get that space magic from Evelyn, so she deserves to know if you want to use it as the foundation of a new one. Of course, I will be telling Evelyn about it. Nathan nodded. With this, I don't need the contracts for anything space-related anymore. Besides, I can see the foundation of my domain. As for your teacher, you know what kind of dangerous thing you just attempted. Ahahaha. It's something that I would never dare to tell her before attempting it. She would definitely stop me. Nathan chuckled. But I'm planning to tell her during my visit. That's good enough. May nodded, satisfied with the arrangement. One last thing, I suggest you absorb the cause with the new technique. Of course, it's better to see how effective the new technique is. Here, I have done almost everything here. I have asked the blacksmith to make the items, but I wonder if I should proceed as it is or create the concept for my space and time bracelet first and embed the new magic circle. While I'm considering the options, it's better to take that time to absorb some cores. I have bought a lot of cores. If the new method is as effective as it claims to be, I should be able to get at least 1.4 million ENA instead of 1.1 million. Killen gave one last warning. Since you know what you're doing, I will return. Just make sure that you don't turn off both of your containers at the same time. I can probably slow it down if that happens, but don't rely on me. Also, don't neglect any of your elements. After all, your elements will be linked closely or directly to your divinity. Yup, thank you, Killen. Nathan waved his hand. He had consulted Killen about this attempt after hearing the suggestion from May, so Killen definitely played a huge part in the second element. There was no way he would ignore Killen's warning. Killen nodded and disappeared into thin air. The divinity he was talking about must be something similar to Kuhn and Peng. Kuhn had water divinity, while Peng had wind divinity. For him, he had to combine them in a single body, which means space and time divinity. However, that route was still too far ahead for him. Like usual, he would take one step at a time and eventually reach that level. Nathan smiled and turned to May. Let's go back to the inn then. I'm curious about how much more Ina I can absorb for each core.